The usual suspects in F1, the big dogs, the Ferraris and Mercedes of the racing world, are usually the ones cranking up the most cost meter. They're like the kids who always want the latest gadgets. And the Minnows, well, they're like us, budget-conscious folks just trying to make ends meet. Guess who's leading the charge for more spending in F1? None other than James Vowles, the brain behind Williams, a team that hasn't exactly been swimming in the F1 financial pool for almost 2 decades. Ferrari's main man, Frédéric Vasseur, is waving the caution flag, calling this rule change a dangerous move. Hold up, dangerous? In F1, we thought danger was their middle name. But here's the deal, the change revolves around something called the cost cap. Now, we're not talking about everyday operational expenses, like designing, developing and running the car. No, this is all about capital expenditure, or capex if you're feeling fancy. Vowles' grand idea is to let teams like Williams, the underdogs in the financial Olympics, splurge a bit more on capex. Why, you ask? Well, because they've been living on the economical side of life for so long that they need a little boost to catch up with the big boys. Williams has been driving a sedan, while Ferrari has been cruising in a sleek sports car. Vowles believes it's time for Williams to upgrade their ride. He's been shouting from the pit stops that Williams' current struggles are as a result of 2 decades of underinvestment. So, Vowles is on a mission to convince the F1 Commission that a significant hype in capex spending is the key to leveling the playing field. But Vowles isn't a lone wolf in this crusade. Others joined the battle cry, and in late July, the F1 Commission started mulling over the idea of boosting capex spending. There were 2 proposals on the table, one suggesting a universal capex increase for all teams, and the other proposing a variable increase based on facilities benchmarked against the big guns. Fast forward and here we are. The capex increase has been greenlit. Williams and their struggling comrades AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo get an extra $20 million in their piggy banks. Aston Martin, Alpine and McLaren are allowed to spend an additional $13 million. And the creme de la creme, Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull, get a cool $6 million bonus. It's like F1's version of a shopping spree. And who doesn't love a good shopping spree? But Ferrari is playing the concerned friend, cautioning against the dangers of letting everyone loose in the candy store. Vasseur is like that voice of reason, saying, hey, let's not forget the consequences. Are we witnessing a plot to dethrone the big names? Or is it just a case of the underdogs getting their fair shot at glory? Only time will tell. So, what's Ferrari's beef with the altered F1 rule? Well, it all boils down to Vasseur, the brains behind the Ferrari machine. He's waving the caution flag, screaming from the rooftops that increasing the spending cap is like opening Pandora's box. Now, Vasseur isn't just saying this because he's having a bad day. He's got a point, or at least he thinks he does. There have been more tweaks to the cost cap than a hairstylist working on a rock star's mane. They allowed more money for inflation and rising costs last year, and Vasseur is side-eyeing these creeping rises, like they're a snake in the grass. He's calling it dangerous. Why is he so worked up? Well, according to Vasseur, there's a looming risk of F1 going back to the days of yore, where teams had more money than they knew what to do with. He's basically saying, hey, remember when teams were throwing cash around like confetti and the whole F1 scene was a bit of a circus? Let's not get back there, people. But, and it's a big but, Vasseur's perspective might be slightly tinted by the fact that Ferrari is sitting pretty with a rich history of massive spending. It's like the rich uncle telling everyone to tighten their belts while he lounges in his money-filled jacuzzi. Sneaky, right? Let's not forget our buddy Peter Bayer, the CEO of AlphaTauri. He's nodding along with Vasseur, raising his hand in agreement. He's got the same concerns about the spending spree. So, we've got the big guns like Ferrari and the smaller fish like AlphaTauri both giving the side eye to this rule change. But here's where it gets interesting. F1 had this grand plan, a rules revolution if you will. The idea was to level the playing field, give everyone a shot at glory. Vowles, the brain behind Williams, is nodding along, saying yeah, let's give the little guys a chance. He wanted an even bigger rise though. Maybe he's got a secret plan to turn Williams into the Cinderella of F1. Who knows? The kicker is that no one seems entirely thrilled. It's like planning a road trip and no one can agree on the playlist. Bassier is not happy, Bayers is not thrilled, and Vowles once more. Is it a classic case of compromise, or is F1 heading for a collision course? Now, before your eyes glaze over at the mention of financial regulations, let's spice it up a bit. F1 had this grand plan, a capex spending limit that's like a budget on steroids. They set a cap on how much teams can splash out on their cool gadgets and gizmos. It started at $45 million for the 2021 to 2024 period, dropped to $36 million for 2022 to 2025. And now, thanks to the F1 Commission, everyone gets a cash boost. For the reporting period, 2021 to 2024, the top dogs like Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari can spend $51 million. The middle group gets $58 million, and the underdogs, including Williams, get $65 million. The F1 rulebook says that for the period covering 2026 to 2029, everyone goes back to a $36 million cap. It's like the Cinderella's carriage turning back into the pumpkin at midnight. Now, you might be wondering, what's Williams going to do with all that extra cash? It's like asking a kid in a candy store what they're gonna pick first. Vowles, the ex-Mercedes maestro now steering the Williams ship, spilled the beans. Williams needs an ERP system, and no, it's not a new type of engine oil, it's an enterprise resource planning system. This fancy system tracks the progress of design and parts for maximum efficiency. Think of it as the pit crew's secret weapon. Vowles has been shouting, "We need this like yesterday." But here's the catch. It's going to cost millions, maybe even tens of millions. Williams recognized that this is a big problem back in 2019 when they were playing the F1 version of Monopoly without enough Monopoly money to fix it. Now, with the new investment flowing in, Williams is ready to revamp their game. But wait, there's frustration in the air. The old capex rules were holding them back like a handbrake on a race car. It's like finally getting the keys to the candy store, only to realize you can't buy everything you want. So there's been this debate about whether Andretti, yes, the legendary Andretti, should join the F1 grid. Vowles, the face behind the push for more spending in F1, is also the guy saying, "Hold your horses, Andretti." But here's the rub. F1 revenues are on the up and up, yet teams like Williams are spending way more than they're raking in. It's like trying to catch up with the cool kids, but they're driving Ferraris while you're stuck in traffic with a minivan. Vowles' argument is, sure, let's add an 11th team, but only when all the teams can afford the F1 high life. If Andretti swoops in, Williams might face tougher competition, sponsorship struggles, and a dip in team value, because suddenly it's one of 11 teams, not 10. And 4, it's a battle between financial stability and the need for more spending. Vowles has a point, playing the card of responsibility to his 900 employees within Williams. The FIA argues that the rules allow up to 12 teams, and the regulations permit a whopping 26 cars to start each race. Andretti is now playing the waiting game, hoping F1 gives the green light. But let's face it, the most likely outcome seems to be a red light. So, while Williams may not be the biggest fan of an 11th team joining the party, they gotta focus on their own game. The increase in the capex spending limit is like a turbo boost for them, potentially bringing in more cash thanks to a higher standing in the championship. In the end, this supposedly dangerous rule change might just be the fuel lower midfield teams need to rev their engines and catch back up to the front runners. It's like the underdogs getting a bit more bark in their bite. Will Andretti get the nod? Will Williams climb the ranks? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Until next time.